is now in session. Today we are hearing a dispute involving one property, one registered proprietor and two purchasers. The main issue is whether a bare trust can limit the registered proprietor's power to transfer the land under the National Land Court. First purchaser, you may begin.
Thank you, my lord. I entered into a sale and purchase agreement with the developer. I paid the full purchase price, fulfilled all my obligations and waited for the title to be transferred into my name. However, before the transfer was complete, I discovered that the same property has been transferred to another purchaser.
Developer, is it true that the first purchaser had paid the full purchase price?
Yes, my lord. The first purchaser has paid in full, but at the time the land was still registered in my name. Under the Torrent system, registration is important. Since I was still the registered proprietor, I believe I still had the power to deal with the land.
With respect, this is unfair. After I paid everything, the developer no longer held the land for himself. He was only holding the legal title for my benefit. In equity, he had become a bare trustee.
My lord, that is the key point in this case. Under a bare trust, the registered proprietor holds the legal title, but the beneficial ownership belongs to another person. The trustee has no active duty except to transfer the legal title where required. So once the purchaser has paid the full purchase price, equity may recognize the purchaser as the beneficial owner.
So the question is this: does registration alone allow the developer to transfer the land again, even after the beneficial ownership has passed to the first purchaser?
My lord, I must also be heard. I conducted a land search. The register showed the developer as a registered proprietor. There was no warning, no caveat, no trust endorsed on the title. I paid valuable consideration and acted in good faith. How was I supposed to know about the first purchaser?
That is exactly the tension in Malaysian land law. On one side, the National Land Code is based on the Torrent system, where the register is central. Section 89 provides that the register is conclusive evidence of ownership, and Section 340 generally protects registered title. But on the other side, equity recognizes that beneficial ownership may pass before registration is completed.
Let us look at the authorities in Samuel Naik Siang Ting against Public Bank. The court held that after the vendor received full payment from the earlier purchaser, the vendor became a bare trustee. Therefore, the vendor had no beneficial ownership left and no proper capacity to transfer the same land to later purchaser.
Exactly, my lord. That case supports my position. The developer cannot receive my full payment, keep the title in his name, then sell the property again. That would defeat fairness.
But my lord, what if sale and purchase agreement alone is not enough? Sometimes purchasers sign agreement but do not complete payment.
That is correct. In the case of Tan Ong Ban and Teo Kim Heng, the court made it clear that bare trust does not arise merely because an SPA has been signed. The purchaser must fully perform the contractual obligations, especially full payment. So if the purchaser has not paid in full, the vendor does not become a bare trustee yet.
But what about me? I rely on the register. If every hidden trust can defeat a registered transfer, then the Torrent system becomes uncertain.
That is a valid concern. In Ong Sang Huat against Tai Jisha, the court emphasized that an unregistered trust may not defeat an innocent bona fide purchaser for value who relies on the register.
So the law is trying to balance two things: fairness to earlier purchaser and certainty for people who rely on land register.
Precisely, bare trust does not destroy the Torrent system. Instead, it adds an incutable limitation. It prevents a registered proprietor from misusing legal title after beneficial ownership has passed to another person. Under the National Land Code, registration remains the foundation of land ownership. However, bare trust shows that equity still has a role to play. Once the purchaser has paid the full price and beneficial ownership has passed, the registered proprietor may no longer have full capacity to transfer or charge the land. The court therefore concludes that bare trust impacts the transfer of land by limiting the registered proprietor's power once beneficial ownership has passed to the purchaser. However, this protection must be balanced with the rights of innocent third parties under the Torrent system.